Hi, Sisters of Eden Codes. This is my friend V, and she is here to share some of her story with all of you. How are you doing today, V?
Great, Nadine. Thank you so much for inviting me to be a part of your community. It's been a great invitation.
And how did we connect?
Well, we have a mutual friend in Mia in Florida, and I've had a few Zooms before where I carried a kind of like a 6-week course on love, the
Hmm.
languages of love, and the dynamics of how we evolve, understand, see, project, how we can find love in everything. And that element, it came from first from learning how to listen, because it is when we are present that we can fully embrace love.
Hmm. Thank you, sister. Just this morning, I hear from the kids and they asked me to send them songs, and I recorded the Bette Midler song, The Rose, and just sent it to some of the parents.
Ah,
Our friend Emma is very connected to roses, and yeah, so thank you for that reminder. And I'm so happy that you're here. Actually, Source very clearly said to me that part of this recording, I'd love to offer you space just to channel a message to the collective. So after we're um, done conversing, I just invite you to that. It was direct, if you're open to it. Thank you.
if it comes forward, then thank you for the opportunity to resonate in this time with you.
Hmm. So tell us a bit about yourself, wherever you want to begin.
Well, I enjoy creating, and I find that that's the most divine aspect that we have in this life, is to measure in the qualities that we are as an essence to create. And that is a divine measure within all of us. And I feel that being here is to help to resound that creative measure, so that way may we all shine in this time. And so I do music videos. So I create music and do animation. Some of it's of nature, some of it's from the imagined. Most of it tends to be a bit ethereal. Some of it's outer space, plasma filaments merging with the cosmic unfolding and the DNA, to water songs and architectural language. And so the music, I started over, like, I don't know, almost 40 years ago. And that's been a really interesting journey. The first performance art piece that I put together was called In the Garden, and it was dealing with the 4 seasons of the heart and how we transform ourselves as an alchemical gesture for my own transformation. And I would I could easily share a link to that, and I would say I would refer to the one song "In Light." That's the name of the song, and it's one of those ethereal cosmic ventures of reminding you that whenever you are looking out onto the horizon and you seek to find yourself out on that distant shore, remember it's all in your heart to know the way.
Hmm.
And I was always looking for the way through in love, because we can have our list of things that get us down. But if we can turn that around, well, then we too are evolving to see the beauty and the wonder in the world.
Hmm. What instruments do you play?
Yes, maybe what it's more like, I play pretty much anything I can get my hands on. Um, or I like to really say, well, what I let the instrument play me. And so everything from drums, I have a collection of gongs. Um, Sometimes I'll be in the garden. I'll just wear some bells because it's clearing the energy. I have flutes, guitars, bass, keyboards, the Urdu, which I play on a couple of my songs that are on YouTube.
The
Um,
air do the same as the didgeridoo? Wonder if I'm
no, not. Oh, I see you have a kit. No, no, the Airdo is actually that's
didgeridoo.
awesome. I have one here, but I haven't. I'm afraid to make too much. I don't want to bring the house down.
It's powerful. You're right. It's powerful. A lot of circular breathing too.
I feel that, yeah. And so I feel that to do that, I would want to be near some water so that way that I'm a breath within the water. And I don't know. Right now I'm in between worlds. So I don't feel that I'm open enough to play the didgeridoo, but I saw you had a little cubby there with your drums and stuff. I would say as far as the drums playing the kit, my favorite thing is to sound like thunder.
Ooh, cool. I wish we could
Like
jam
you're
together.
just kind of this primal, yeah, this primal rolling of, feeling that, and then just kind of holding that space. So, yeah, but I would say my voice is, the most portable. Um, And I would say too that I have designs for instruments that I've created, and some of them are just very simple, but it's a combination of things. And I'm also looking at, instead of the 440, there's the different schools of sound. Like 440 would be an A. I'm actually seeing that, because we're ascending, that we're not going back to the old Suffragian sequence. We're going into a more angelic. So I've been kind of tuning to 443-ish, 443-ish, because in the angelic nature, that that final essence is actually of the angels. And I can't say that I'm putting it to 444 to be of the angels. I just invite them to share the harmony with me.
And lift it up. Yeah, I understand. So, for some of our friends who have questions about music and frequencies, I'm really feeling called to have some sort of a music class workshop about the difference between frequencies, notes, melody, harmony, vocal activation, all of this, because, we've been, as V is saying here, we've really been conditioned to hear things in a certain frequency. And if you go into the history of, actually, it's the Rothschilds that have something to do with changing the frequencies. I go down that wormhole if you want. But essentially, all of our instruments are tuned. For example, when you get your piano tuned, most tuners are doing it to a frequency that won't quite match sound bowls, because sound bowls are tuned to these more angelic frequencies, and a lot of these native instruments are. And now, when we have things like guitars and ukuleles, we have more autonomy around tuning, and we can get to those eighth of a notes or quarter notes in between traditional sound. But what happens is it does feel very muddied when you have this tuning with this tuning. And so, as we elevate into this next octave and this next tuning, I'm so excited for people who understand it, even if it's just in their heart, right? We don't have to understand the technicality, but you'll feel it when we're harmonizing and when there's instruments in these new keys. So I am with you, and I would love to nerd out more with you on this down the road, sis.
Absolutely. And yeah, we don't need to go the backstepping with the Rothschilds. We understand what they were doing to the nervous system, to the psychology, and to the very ability for us to heal ourselves, because the nature of healing is through frequency in our cellular dynamics. So, yes, they were here, they were poisoned, they were muddying the well. They were putting mud in the well, and as opposed to letting it be pristine for our healing, consciousness, and evolution. So, and as far as sound goes, I have I've kind of off and on, I've been working on it, but it's getting into the different qualities of sound, and I would love to share some of that with you for the future for you to consider. Because I have meditated on the there's timbres, there's hues, there's chromas, all these different qualities that are sound. And I definitely nerd out on that with some scientific stuff because I believe that right now our evolution isn't just about understanding, it's about feeling. But
Mhm.
if we can understand what we're feeling, we can apply that more directly and we could be more succinct with our discoveries of unfolding.
So, as you said that, I felt a little bit of frustration because I went back to the 2 hours that I've spent with two different friends now, trying to find a solution to bring music through in a live manner. We've tried, I think, 5 systems, and none of them bring the music through well. The only thing we've landed on right now is recording it, in advance. And so I'll just put that out to the universe because instead of sitting in frustration, I'm just going to vocalize. There's probably something to all of this. Why is it so difficult? Why are there so many Reddit posts of people saying I can't get live music through this online, consciousness in live settings? And I really want to invite harmony and singing and the children of the light, all of this. So maybe someone listening right now has an idea or a solution. So we'll just put that out there too. So thanks for that opportunity to call that in. Do you have any
Uh,
ideas?
I do, but it revolves around rotation, and that what you can do is host different live groups where you're playing and then have a rotation. So now you're expanding the realm for us to create and have connection and share that as a divine projection.
I think we should do that. So anyone who wants to visit in St. Pete, we'll do this musically. We have a beautiful event center here, One Light, and also that's where all of the water research will be taking place. So when we bring our voices and our sounds together, we can actually witness how it shifts water molecules. So that sounds very fun and open invite to anyone starting in October to come and visit and sing. I have lots of local musicians and singers here too that can join in. But yeah, I've been wanting to announce that. So also thank you for that opportunity.
Absolutely. Well, and this was, I would say that there's a union of energies. So there's singing, and then there's dancing, and then there's the music. So all these things are bridges to our senses. And I do see that this is a time where we're bridging the senses with the dynamic of our essence. Our soul is singing and creating and connecting through all these divine sources.
So what would you say to one of our sisters who might respond to this video as I'm not musical or I wouldn't know the first place to start?
I would say if your toe is tapping to music that brings you joy, there's music in your heart. And I would say that it's just a matter of allowing yourself to lose the judgments of what you cannot do and be curious enough to discover what you can do. And let that be your guide because that is a part of the awakening bridge is that we are losing the false notions and the preconceptions that what we create is wrong or false or won't be accepted, and that if we're truly in harmony with people that are aligned with our nature and respect us for being curious and making mistakes, but yet sharing this is how we're connecting as opposed to you're doing it all wrong. See, and I think that's where the child of my heart says, if we can bring truth through understanding and be compassionate for a few false notes, but it's really about understanding where we are in that spectrum. And if we're allowing that spectrum to move through us, then there are no wrong notes, only ways of, the happy accident kind of things, because those sometimes create a little looseness because now we're no longer feeling that we have to be perfect. We just become. We become the music. We become the joy. And I would say that if you had any questions about doing music right, if you're feeling the joy in it, your toe is tapping, your heart is humming, the song's already in you. It's just a matter of sharing that and not getting rid of the no's and saying more to the yes.
Beautiful answer. Beautiful. I always recommend to uh, those who are just starting to open up their remembrance to their musical abilities to start with sound bowls and any sort of just drum or rhythm. It's really fun to join a group and you kind of can find your cohesion and all of a sudden you're like, I have rhythm. Yeah, when you're in a group, it's easier to lean into that. And we have drum circles here in St. Pete that are really fun that I enjoy going to on the beach. Do you participate in any group music right now? Are you in any projects or are you mostly creating on your own right now?
I do go to ecstatic dances. I've actually been considering doing the DJing for some ecstatic dances. Um, there are drumming on the beach locally here too. I haven't gone to any in a while. Some of the pieces that I'm working on right now are I'm translating stories.
Mm,
And what I'm identifying like, characters have themes. So I'm painting themes so I can turn the page of this book and let that be the music for me. So there's an environment that sets the mood, and then how these characters interact, or how their I guess the dynamic unfolds of how when people get together, that's how we make music in life, is that we allow our songs, our character, our uniqueness to become those qualities that we share, and let that become like the language of our spirit is and so I've been kind of defining energies, like because we're all a spectrum. And the more that we can identify the spectrum, the more we can find harmonies within ourselves.
can you describe ecstatic dance to you?
Absolutely. I would say, if we're going to start like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, first you got to loosen your knees and feel yourself into the earth, and that the earth is your heartbeat, and that you allow that to just gently sway you. Let your water be the water of the earth. Let your breath be the breath of the ethers, and allowing that to move through you to stir your spirit. And then allowing the drums or whatever instrument, find a part in your body that's an instrument.
Mm,
This is where it gets fun. Where is that sound in me? And allowing that sound to kind of gain in progression as more instruments are introduced. Can you keep up with the progression? Or do you find that you just settle into a certain spot because that's where you're growing, and allowing the vulnerability of just allowing that growth to permeate you is a part of opening to the ecstatic sense of the dance.
beautiful. One of the areas of research that I'm really interested in is observing the impacts on water and on the individual physiology of a person when they listen to music or observe art or, appreciate external and they're merging with it versus when they're in a co-creation or activation process. So what happens when you're listening to mantras in quiet meditation versus when you're actively singing with the mantras. So that's an area that I'm really interested in because my hypothesis is that it's not one is better than the other. It's that it's very specific to the person, the group in the room, that particular day, and the Earth's spin, all of these factors. But I do know that individuals and water will behave differently in active participation versus passive listening. And I think helping us understand the times when we're called to move it through and dance it out and paint it out and sing in harmony versus the stillness of receiving the medicine. I think that's going to be really cool. And I haven't heard much about this, so I'm going to geek out in this area of my life and just calling in all of my musical sisters, which, as you said, that's all of us. That's all of us. And can you imagine the impact on someone who finds their voice? Someone who says, I can't sing on pitch. I've never sung. I don't know how to carry a tune. Being able to sit in a room in a round, sit in a room with a three-part harmony, and their voice doesn't cause any sort of uncomfortable discord. As you said, it moves through passing notes and it warms into the cohesion of the harmony. And I've witnessed it happen so many times. It's one of the most powerful things. Actually, I'd say three women in this group will tell you they found their voice at one light just from a group of us singing or instruments around. So there also can be a bit of a Kundalini activation tied to your voice, tied to even your movement. You might find yourself
Absolutely.
awkward, and then all of a sudden something, and your move, all of a sudden you're like, the water is coming through now. So anyone who there, you can gradually move into more. You can have a click in really, so there's so many ways to get this flowing through you and to be a part of it. And I think this is really critical to the new paradigm, to the earth shift, to communication, to healing, to translating information, all of this. And I've had this vision of a separation where some are in the zone of it's more effective and efficient not to feel, and then some are in the zone of we're holding on to our feelings and we do this through the creative flow. And so I know that me and you are over here with our friends and it feels really lovely to be here, and it becomes part of your identity. It's like I'll never stop drinking water, I'll never stop playing, listening, and participating in sound.
Absolutely. And I would say I love your enthusiasm and once again, your guidance and your leadership. And your curiosity is the light that we all need in this time. And I'm sure you've heard of Emoto and the messages of water. And I would say also tastes great, less filling. It's a particle, it's a wave. And that the other thing too, and this is for the geek part of you, are you familiar with the four phases of water?
Yes, I actually got to have my voice at the lab of Dr. Gerald Pollack. They got to check that out, and it was part of what sparked my interest in all of this. And there's so much to how the fourth phase of water is similar to the water in our body. And so we can really learn about ourselves through learning about this fourth phase of water. And essentially, it's a generic water, but when it's next to water-loving surfaces, phosphorus surfaces, it behaves kind of like how the water is in our body and in our fascia, connecting everything in us. And so, yeah, we can learn about this like a mirror to our own selves. And I think the most interesting part of the fourth phase of water, the book, it's a really good book, by the way. It has like cartoons in it. It's like, I think his son or illustrated it, and it's not like a typical textbook. It's kind of in between. So it's a little bit like being back in college, but more fun. And most of the whole first chapter is a history on how the science of water research has been suppressed, it's been demonized, it's been very risky. So people get out of this area because they're sometimes risking their reputation and their license to study water. And essentially, he says it's because everyone gets back to the God molecule. They all get back to consciousness, and it ends up becoming woo-woo. And so you have to kind of make a choice if you're going to stand in this or not. And Dr. Pollack has seemed to really walk both lines in a way where he has that respect of the scientific community, but also he is moving these things ahead. And I need to understand more about it from my research, so I'm looking forward to that. I'm not an expert, but I'm learning quickly.
Well, I would definitely say you're on the right path, and that, the that gets into the plasma nature. And I do see more along with the quantum consciousness and quantum evolution that the four phases of water is our evolution in understanding the plasma nature. So if we look at there's a micro and macrocosm within us, that the four phases of water is a soul essence that moves through us as a plasma nature. So if we take a look at the neurocosmology of, say, our nervous system, and the microcosmology of the fascia, which is they're both electrical in nature. And so too is the exclusion zone that is unique to the fourth phase of water. Um, Now, when you get into the element and source of nature within us, being that we are primarily water, it would be a shame that we didn't incorporate that into the very essence of our understanding of human nature, and the effects of heavenly bodies upon us, as well as others. Now, then this gets into the exclusion zone, and that because our energies are evolving, our thoughts are becoming things, that our water is reverberating and manifesting in different ways that science doesn't understand. And I remember back when they were like having like safe distance and all this other kind of stuff, keeping 6 feet away. It was because our energetic body was expanding at such a great
Mm.
force that it was, if you say, like, you put your foot in a bog and you push your foot down and the water comes up to it because you've pushed your foot down, that was what was happening with these energetic bubbles, and it was creating blood clots in people. This is just the science, but they couldn't explain it. They didn't understand why. They were just saying you just got to stay away from people. But there's also an energetic wicking that happens in a part of the exclusion zone within the four phases of water, that water is constantly seeking to find equilibrium, just like our systems, our cells seeking homeostasis. So when there's an energetic value outside of ourselves, greater or lesser than, our energy starts wicking to find homeostasis, which could drain people, cause illness, or enrich people and cause health. And there, because we haven't had this consciousness about our own sense of self, energy, the abilities to find either prayer or meditation, because both of that's tastes great, less filling, one's listening, one's receiving, but they're in the stillness. They are both very relevant because they're helping us to expand and to reclaim the energetic realms that we are a part of.
Thank you so much. I followed every word in my heart.
Excellent. I know this is an amazing time to be a scientist of the spirit, because then the universe may belong to the observer. We may see, and we can affect what we see, but it evolves and unfolds for the dancer. And as long as we are participating in the qualities of that which we're seeking, then we are also permeated by its truth. And that's a divine order.
Thank you, sister.
Absolutely. My love.
Forever family. It's just so heartwarming just to be in this moment. I'm just taking it for myself.
Oh, thank you. Well, thank you for asking all the right questions so my spirit can be guided to let's illuminate the world.
Mm. The light just came into
The
my,
world is our community.
yeah, the sun came out from the cloud as you said that, and the light just came into my whole room.
I feel the truth in that.
I'd like to invite you into offering. I'm hearing it's like a quantum activation. It could be through words or sounds. Um, it could be something you've already created and you're going to share it. But if it's live, yeah, I'm getting it right back here.
I'd like to share a poem. It's called All That Is. And I'd like to take you first to the ocean's waves that's caressing your very being, every fiber, every nerve, every neuron, embracing the waves as they wash through, enlightening, electric, and here within the water spray, the chants of the sea untold. Here within the swell and break, whose recant is of life to behold. Questioning all that is inside oneself, wondering if all that is inside one shell. A quest of the fallen crest to see the endless world found within the earthen breast, the seed that embraces the world. Questioning all that is inside oneself, wondering if all that is inside oneself.
All the questions are,
Thank you for this life.
all the answers are within, and the questions and the answers both always land in love and harmony every time.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for this opportunity to share my spirit with you and bringing curiosity and wonder to this world. And thank you for guiding us to remain true to our hearts.